We are changing this project slightly so that we can practice the skill of a button and buttonhole. In order to do this, we will not be utilizing Velcro in this project. The next step is to apply interfacing to bag front and back sections. On outside, pin pocket to bag front along pocket lines, placing small dots at corners. Stitch pocket band close to side and lower edges. Interfacing is in bold print. We know this is to indicate that there are further instructions on how to complete this step in the sewing directions in the front of your instruction sheet. When turning to the sewing directions, we can see that there are further instructions on how to apply the interfacing properly to our project. The interfacing instructions read, pin fusible interfacing to wrong side of project sections as instructed in sewing directions. Cut across outer corners of interfacing where necessary. Fuse in place following manufacturer's directions. Interfacing will be indicated on your project using the grid markings.
We are going to go ahead and apply the interfacing to the outside part of your bag. The outside is going to be the side that is going to be seen on the outside by everybody. The interfacing is going to add some stiffness to the outside of the bag so that it stands up. When we put the interfacing down, we want to make sure that the bumpy side, the side that feels rough, is on the wrong side of the material. So we're going bumpy side to wrong side of the material. It is very important that we are making the bumpy side down, otherwise it will melt to our iron. You are going to take a ironing cloth and get it damp. We do not want it dripping, so once it is damp, you are going to lay it over the interfacing. The next thing we are going to do is make sure that on the iron, the steam is turned off. Because this is damp, we do not need any more moisture. You are going to go ahead and put the iron down and hold it in place for 15 seconds. You might hear some steam or some sizzle. That is okay. We are not ironing back and forth. We are holding in place for 15 seconds. We are then going to pick it up, readjust our cloth, move it over, and do it again. You will continue this process until the interfacing is on both pieces of the outside bag. 15 seconds in place, pick it up, move it over, and continue. Once your cloth becomes dry, you will repeat the process of getting it damp, laying it over the interfacing, and continuing.
To complete the second part of step 2, on outside, pin pocket to bag front along pocket lines, placing small dots at corners. Stitch pocket band close to side and lower edge.
We are now going to be attaching the pocket to the outside of the bag. I had you mark on the outside, which is something that usually you do not do. Usually we mark on the wrong side. But this allows us to see where we are going to place our pocket. The important thing here is that we are not stretching the pocket out. We are going to be lining it up with the lines. If you stretch it out, you won't be able to fit anything in it. So we would like to have some kind of give. The first thing you are going to do is line up the edges of your pocket with that line. Now remember, this was folded in at 1/4 of an inch when we set up our band. So that folded edge is going to go here so you have that nice clean edge. The corners are going to be pinched just like they were when we created the pocket, and you're going to line this up with the other line. You are going to see that you are going to have excess material in here. This is what you want so that you can utilize this pocket for the things that you want to carry. We want to make sure that we are meeting every edge with the lines that are marked so that it is straight on the bag, and so that it is straight here and straight on the top. Once you start to pin, you're going to pin with the pins facing out again. We want the head of the pin on the outside so when we sew past them, you can take them out. I like to have one pin in the front here or on the top going through on both sides, lining the edges up with the line. You also want to make sure that the tops are even. We can play with them a little bit as we go. The next area that I'm going to focus on is the corners. Go ahead and pinch the corner to create that pucker, and it's going to bring your pocket within those two lines. You are going to pin on either side of that corner, just as we did when we were connecting the band to the outside pocket. When we sew this, it's going to be very similar to sewing the band on, because we are going to have that corner or that excess material in each corner. Go ahead and continue pinning so that we can attach the pocket. Once you have finished pinning around the perimeter of the pocket, there are a couple of things that you want to double check before you sew this down. Number one, you want to make sure that both corners on the top are even. We want to make sure that that is straight, because when we put the flap on it, we want to make sure that the pocket remains straight. The second thing we want to check is that the corners are popped just like they were before. You can see that there is a lot of excess material here. That is exactly what we want so that you can utilize this pocket. When we begin stitching, we are going to be doing an edge stitch. Remember, that is going to be right along the edge here, all the way around. You are going to stitch the same way that you did before, is pushing the pocket corner down when you come to it, and then pushing it up when you go around it. We're going to go ahead and attach the pocket to the outside of the bag. Alright, because we're going to be doing an edge stitch, again, you have the choice to either line it up with the outside of the foot or the inside of the toe. Because I want to maximize the space in my pocket, I'm going to line up the edge of the material with the inside of my toe. We are stitching two things together, so we are going to backstitch. Go ahead and start. You only need to do about 2 or 3 stitches, then reverse and continue forward. Remember to pull the pins out as you get to them and not sew over them, or you have risk the hazard of breaking the needle. Now again, this is a stitch that people are going to see on the outside of your bag, so you want to take your time to make sure that you are remaining straight. My focus is on the inside of this toe so that the material stays even. I am not worried about the needle because we know that the needle will go straight. As we come up to this corner, you have that excess material that we need to deal with. We will be pivoting. You need to take this excess material and put it in the down position. Come to the corner as close as you can using your hand wheel once you get close so that you do not overshoot the corner. Once you get to the corner, needle remains in the down position. Go ahead and lift up your presser foot, rotate and pivot the material underneath. You are now going to take that excess material and put it underneath the foot. Put the foot back into the down position and continue your straight stitch. If it gets stuck, you can pull from the back because you are going over a little bit of material. The machine may need help to get over it. That is not abnormal. Continue on your straight stitch. When you get to the corner again, you're going to do the same thing. This is just repeating a skill that you have already learned previous in this project. You're coming up to the excess material. Material goes down away from where you are stitching. Use your hand wheel to get in close. To pivot, needle remains down. Lift up your presser foot. Turn the material. This excess material is now going to get pushed underneath. Lower this presser foot. Do not forget to lower the presser foot or you will not be able to sew. Go ahead and start. Keeping the distance on the edge. We are coming up to the end of this stitch. When you come to the end of your stitch, remember to stitch all the way to the end, reverse, and then stitch off.